dayani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam moy dayani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam Dayani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam shechazarta b'nishmasi Nishmasi b'chema Rabbo emunasecha shechazarta b'nishmasi Nishmasi b'chema Rabbo emunasecha Dayani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam Dayani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam Dayani lefanecha shechazarta b'nishmasi Nishmasi b'chema Rabbo emunasecha
Tuesday morning at JM in the AM, and I thank you all for listening in and for watching as we continue our broadcast from Venice. The Jewish Unity Initiative of the Nachum Segal Network continues on this Tuesday, and we are here in the Venetian Jewish ghetto as we commemorate 500 years of the ghetto, which was established back in 1516. Well, so far we've had an amazing visit. Many of you have already heard about the Bartanura presentation on Saturday night of the incredible Jewish music Malava Malka that took place here in the ghetto. The rabbi of the community made sure to point out to me after the event how instrumental the event was in bringing Jewish unity and in bringing people together and really inspiring the crowd. And a big thank you to David Fadida and Itzik Dadya and Daniela Javiel and Yisrael Sosna and everybody who was a major part, an integral part of bringing that event together on Saturday night. Yesterday, on Monday, we had the opportunity to speak more about the ghetto and to introduce special guests, including people who gave us a wonderful tour of the Jewish Museum here in Venice, a significant site for us to visit and to learn about the history of this incredible place. And today, we're going to have an opportunity to visit with the Rabbi and Rebbitzin, the Chief Rabbi of Venice, and his Rebbitzin, Rabbi and Mrs. Bachbud, who've been here for the last 2.5 years, continue to lead this community and to grow this community, as you'll hear. And that visit will take place in the main shul where daily services take place in Venice. Later on, we'll be at an art gallery in the ghetto. We'll also have an opportunity to speak to some of the people who live here in Venice in the small Jewish community, and we'll also have a chance to speak to some of the people who've been key to our Jewish Unity Initiative. That's all coming up on a Tuesday edition of JM in the AM. So keep it here. Thank you so much for listening in. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you very much for watching. This has been a very special visit to Venice for us as we commemorate the 500th year of the ghetto, and all of this will continue next right here at JM in the AM.
כזו גדולה, הלב אומר תודה על כל מה שנתת שנה ועוד שנה. תפילה מתוך תקווה, אמא של נחמה, שהחיינו וקיימנו מתוך שמחה. ברכות כולם אומרים למלך העולם, שירו מתוך הנשמה, וכולם נותנים ידיים, וכולם שרים שרים, ועכשיו עושים לחיים, ועכשיו כולם נותנים, וכולם נותנים ידיים, וכולם שרים שרים, ועכשיו עושים לחיים, ועכשיו כולם רוקדים, 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 יו. אדם לא שר שירה, אלא מתוך שמחה, כשרוקדים, כשמנגנים, הנשמה שלמה. מה טוב ומה נעים, כשכולם באים, כאיש אחד בלב אחד, כולנו חברים. מודים ומברכים, לבורא כל עולמים, שרים, רוקדים ומנגנים, וכולם נותנים ידיים, וכולם שרים שרים, ועכשיו עושים לחיים, ועכשיו כולם רוקדים, וכולם נותנים ידיים, וכולם שרים שרים, ועכשיו עושים לחיים, ועכשיו כולם רוקדים.
זמנים קשים, העם ביחד, כולם מוכנים, העם מאוחד, צהל מגן, העם מעודד, מגובשים, העם תומך, נצח ישראל לא ישקר, עם ישראל לנצח, נצח ישראל לא ישקר, עם ישראל לנצח, כולם עוזרים, העם מתנדב, משתוקקים, רוצים שלווה, ממשיכים, עם של צדק, כולם ביחד, עם ישראל חי, נצח ישראל לא ישקר, עם ישראל לנצח, נצח ישראל לא ישקר, עם ישראל לנצח, נצח ישראל לא ישקר, עם ישראל לנצח, נצח ישראל לא ישקר, עם ישראל לנצח.
Kaloyim kum kaloyim kum gesher, kaloyim kum loy gesher, say meoy meoy. Kaloyim kum gesher, kaloyim kum loy gesher, say meoy. Vea iker loy 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 lefachifam, vea iker loy lefachifam, vea iker loy lefachifam, loy lefachifam, loy lefachifam, vea iker loy 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 lefachifam, vea iker loy lefachifam, vea iker loy lefachifam, loy lefachifam, loy lefachifam. Kaloyim kum gesher, kaloyim kum loy gesher, say meoy meoy. Kaloyim kum gesher, kaloyim kum loy gesher, say meoy. Vea iker loy 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 lefachifam, vea iker loy lefachifam, vea iker loy lefachifam, loy lefachifam, loy lefachifam, vea iker loy 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 lefachifam, vea iker loy lefachifam, vea iker loy lefachifam, loy lefachifam, loy lefachifam.
לבד הלב זועק הצילו לו הייתי מסוגל להתרומם לעלות הגל לעוף מלא באמונה ציון הקודש ומנה אני אומר אתם עונים תמיד שומר כולם יודעים אני אומר אתם עונים תמיד שומר כולם נוסעים אח שלי מה קורה האם אתה מגיע עזוב את העסקים בוא וקצת תרגיע תקום לכל פה לעזור שכל הרוע יעבור אבינו אב הרחמן נח נחמן מהומה אני אומר אתם עונים תמיד שומר כולם נוסעים ראש השנה בציון, עם ישראל שמח תיקון הכללי בעיון, הלב בפנים זורח רק נשאיר את התקווה לעוד שנה אחת טובה לרקוד לשיר פה עם כולם אין שום ייאוש בעולם אני אומר אתם עולים תמיד שומר כולם יודעים אני אומר אתם עונים תמיד שומר כולם יודעים אני אומר אתם יודעים תמיד שומר כולם נוסעים כולם נוסעים
אני אומר
מייס, נגמר שיר כפרה, בוא נלך.
מן אני לי מילי שאני לי עצמי כמו אני ואם לא יחשוב ואם לא יחשוב יהיה מסעי מן אני לי מילי שאני לי עצמי כמו אני ואם לא יחשוב יהיה מסעי אם אין אני לי מילי וכשאני לי עצמי כמו אני ואם לא יחשוב ואם לא יחשוב אם אין אני לי מילי וכשאני לעצמי מוני ואם לא יחשוב ואם לא יחשוב מוני ואם לא יחשוב יהיה מוזר מן אני לי מילי שאני לעצמי מוני ואם לא יחשוב יהיה מוזר אם אין אני לי מילי וכשאני לעצמי מוני
סלח לי אבי, כי חטאתי לך, מחול לי על כל פשעי. גם בימים ששכחתי אותך, היית תמיד בחיי. בכל הדרכים שהלכתי בעצם, היית לי נר לרגלי. הייתי עיוור, לא ראיתי מעבר למה שהביטו עיניי. מלך מלכי המלכים, תודה על חיים, על אושר, על בכי, על צחוק. גם כשקשה לפעמים, גם אז אלוקים, אתה לעולם לא רחוק. מלך מלכי המלכים, תודה על חיים, על אושר, על בכי, על צחוק. גם כשקשה לפעמים, גם אז אלוקים, אתה לעולם לא רחוק. גם כי אלך בדרכי חשוכה, בטחתי בך אלוקיי. על חצי שני, על בכור וילדה, תודה גם על אושר בלי די. תודה על חגים, על שבת ששומרת, שלא ייגמר לעולם. כל יום שעובר בדרכי לגן עדן, שיביתי אותך מול עיניי. מלך מלכי המלכים, תודה על חיים, על אושר, על בכי, על צחוק. גם כשקשה לפעמים, גם אז אלוקים, אתה לעולם לא רחוק. מלך מלכי המלכים, תודה על חיים, על אושר, על בכי, על צחוק. גם כשקשה לפעמים, גם אז אלוקים, אתה לעולם לא רחוק. מלך מלכי המלכים, תודה על חיים, על אושר, על בכי, על צחוק. גם כשקשה לפעמים, גם אז אלוקים, אתה לעולם לא רחוק. מלך מלכי המלכים, תודה על חיים, על אושר, על בכי, על צחוק. גם כשקשה לפעמים, גם אז אלוקים, אתה לעולם לא רחוק.
JM in the AM on a Tuesday morning. It's the Nachum Segal Network Jewish Unity Initiative as we continue our visit to Venice as we participate in the 500th year commemoration of the Venetian Jewish ghetto. And we are here with the chief rabbi and rabbanit of Venice, Italy, Rabbi Mrs. Bachbud. Thank you very much for being here.
Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for hosting us and for helping make this a very special visit for us. We very much appreciate it. Tell everybody first where we're sitting. What shul, what synagogue are we in?
We are now in the Levantine shul. It's the shul of the Jews from Greece and Turkey. Of course, Sephardic shul, and we use this shul during the winter. It's a little shul proportionally to the other shul, the Spanish shul.
And during the summer, that's the one you use, the Spanish
summer
shul.
After Pesach,
right.
Yes, we use the other shul.
When was this built, this shul?
About 500 years ago.
And it looks very similar today to 500 years ago?
Yes. Of course, there are many restoration during the 500 years, but this about the shul was built by the Jews from Greece and Turkey.
We had the opportunity to daven here on Shabbos, which was beautiful, and it's used every day, as you just mentioned. This is a remarkable place, Venice. How long have you been here? How long have you been here in Venice, and how long have you been the chief rabbi?
2 years and a half.
2.5 years.
2.5 years.
And what attracted you? How did this become available to you that you said, I would love to be the leader of the Jewish community of Venice?
I have a sister in Venice, so when they suggest me to be a chief rabbi of Venice, I accept. It's a very interesting place, and so also a challenge to be a rabbi in a town where about 100,000 Jews visited the synagogues during the year.
Right.
So this is the reason, because during my speech, I speak in Hebrew also, and in Italian, of course.
Italian as well, of course. The 500th year of the establishment of the Jewish ghetto here, has it been, for us, it's been very significant. It was what encouraged us to actually come and visit and bring this entire story to our audience. Has it been very significant for the community here?
Very significant, of course, because the Jews live in Venice about 1,000 years. But before the ghetto, the Jew lives in Rialto, in another place. But every day they have to also to move from Venice to Mestre, for example, to the Terraferma, to the mainland. The mainland. But during this, when the ghetto was built, the Jews have the opportunity to live in Venice, even if the ghetto was a terrible condition.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Jews can live in Venice, and also the people can visit the ghetto. Also the Christian, because the most part of the population, of course, was Christian, but not only Christian, because this was an international town, Muslim and also Greek, and many people from all over the world. Venice was a great power in 500 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
A very significant area of the world, that's for sure. I want to ask Mrs. Bachbud, if I may, what do you think it is how do you think it's different to be a chief rabbi in a city like Venice than any other city around the world?
The international aspect of it, I think, is very important. Jews from all over the world come, make use of our services, the shul, the restaurants, and so on. And so it gives the community a chance to have very intense contact with Jewish realities all over the world, and maybe it's a representation of Jewish unity. And yeah, I think that's mostly it. It also enriches the community itself.
Oh, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure
also
people.
The sense of history is always with us.
Right. You walk in the ghetto or any of these streets, and you feel like
And you remember.
Right, that you could actually see and feel what was going on here hundreds of years ago. We've picked that up for sure. People hear your accent, or lack thereof for our audience, and are curious about your own background, where you're from, and how you ended up in Italy and in Venice.
I was born in Canada. I grew up in Philadelphia, so I'm American. I came to Italy about 40 years ago. I've lived my entire life here in Italy, in Rome, and I was back in the States teaching for about 4 years, and then I came back, and we were married about a year and a half ago.
And was it something about this country that just grabbed you, or?
There's something about, maybe I was Italian in another life, I don't know. There is something about Italy that I found extremely compelling.
This past Saturday night, we had an event that we really wanted to make, and did make, the centerpiece of our visit, which was a Jewish music Malava Malka, to bring something to Venice that I would assume is not regularly here. You know, artists from Israel in this case who came and inspired everybody. Could you describe what you were feeling as this all was going on Saturday night?
Well, it was quite lovely, the involvement. Also, because we had a group of Bnei Akiva students from all over Italy, and so the enthusiasm of youth and their energy and gives a real sense of continuity.
It was a great night of Jewish unity, and something very special. And at one point, we stood in the courtyard in the center of the ghetto and said to ourselves, it is amazing that now Jewish music is filling this place, a place that no doubt had a lot of pain in the past, obviously a lot of history, and now we were able to...
a lot of music at the time of the ghetto.
And a lot of music in the time of the ghetto. Tell me about the future of Venice. Is it going to remain this community as a tourist attraction, so to speak, and continuing to meet people from around the world? Is there an effort to continue to build the community in any way? Because it is a relatively small Jewish community.
It's a relatively small community, I think. Since my husband's been here, the number of students of Talmud Torah has gone from about 5 to about between 30 and 40.
Oh, that's a nice sign.
So I think that's where the effort is. Right.
Getting the young people engaged, and
getting the not very many young people. There aren't a lot of young people. Young people leave Venice. The Jews leave Venice as the Venetians leave Venice because there are problems of work and employment.
Right.
That's a serious problem affecting the city itself. So of course. The community is affected as well.
I'll ask you to pass the microphone to Rabbi Bachbud, and I thank you again. Rabbi, can we address what people are watching now on the video on our website, and that is the setup of this beautiful shul. We're not used to this, where the Chazan and the Rav...
The Chazan, the Rav, of course, the Kriyat Torah.
All from up here.
Yes. And also in the other shul, in the Spanish shul, and not only in Venice, but in other communities, the Chazan pray in the other place, in opposite to the Aron HaKodesh.
Right.
So the people, for example, in this shul, the women can hear better than in other shul, because they because the Chazan is up.
It's closer.
It's closer, yes.
That's true. Big advantage.
And the people can hear it well, because the Chazan is not on near the Aron, but in the other side.
Right.
I think it's very important to. I think that they decided this one the motive. One of the main reasons, because in the shul is not in the Chazan is not in the center,
right,
and the other side.
Right.
So the people can hear directly the Chazanut.
Right. And then on the other end, of course, is the Aron Kodesh, and ZK, you can show everybody who's watching what the Aron Kodesh looks like. But before we even speak about the Aron HaKodesh, which is magnificent, tell us about all these lamps, all the silver that adorns the front of the shul.
Yes, during 500 years, every family want to donate something to the synagogue. You can see on every silver donation, you can see the name of the family who donated to this
The specific lamp,
specific
right?
lamps. Yes, yes.
All in silver.
Or in silver, or not only silver, but in brass, also in brass. I want to explain because we have in this synagogue we have two mechitzot. One is upstairs, yes, but the young girl, because the women who can go
climb
up
the stairs. Right.
US also another mechitza. All Batei Knesset of Venice, of course, is Orthodox, even if the Jews of Venice are not strictly Orthodox, yes?
Right.
But anyway, what we try to offer to all the people who arrive to Venice is kashrut, very, very mehadrin, yes, in all the in the restaurant, in the cafeteria, and so on. It's one of the town where we have also a roof. Every 5 years we renew the roof with the mayor of Venice.
Yeah, we didn't even know there was an Eruv, and we were very happy to find out there was.
Yes,
so thank you.
Yeah.
And just to reiterate, so upstairs, I don't know, ZK, if you got it, but that is the balcony, very similar to some of the other shuls we've seen in Venice in terms of how it's set up for the women's section. Then, of course, one downstairs for those who can't climb the stairs. Let's go back to the Aron Kodesh just one more time. What could you tell us about this magnificent Aron?
Aron, in Venice, one of the problems is that it's impossible to use marble.
Marble is impossible.
Marble, yes,
right.
Because impossible, very difficult. So we have not made too heavy for Venice, because
right.
Venice is
always sinking.
Yes,
right. You don't want to put marble on top of a sinking
I don't
foundation.
know. Maybe in the church they can use, but not here. We have not so many marble in
right.
here. Only Aron HaKodesh, only some part of the Aron HaKodesh, not all the Aron HaKodesh on marble. Yes. What can I do?
I mean, it's this is an Aron Kodesh that has been here since the beginning, or at some point during the last 500 years.
I don't know, but I think it's very, very ancient yet.
Right.
But anyway,
parts of that Aron Kodesh are likely from the beginning, correct?
Yes.
Parts of the Aron Kodesh are likely from the
beginning.
Also,
the Chazan is one of the not Italian, not Jews. Many Christian helped the Jews to build the synagogue. For example, this is maybe Brustolon. Brustolon, one of the major one of the sculptures of the Venice. Yes. So I think also a very strict relation between the Jews and the non-Jews. For example, one of the most important rabbis of Venice, Leone da Modena, when he speaks in the synagogue, also many Christians came to hear Leone da Modena, Ariemi Modena, and he wrote his books also in Italian because he wanted the Christian can understand what the Jews do during the year.
Right, he wrote about Minhagim.
Minhagim, yes.
And we learned in the museum about the fact that the non-Jews love to hear him preach, as you just said, right? The name Luzzatto, a very important name in the history of Venice, right? Yes,
of course. Luzzatto is an Ashkenazi family from Lausitz, yes. But Ramchal, for example, we have a little shul downstairs. Ramchal, Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, the family of Ramchal was from Venice, even if Ramchal lived most part of his life in Padua. Yeah.
The author of Mesilat Yesharim.
The author of Mesilat Yesharim, yes. I think that maybe the name of Ramchal is the international name in Jewish yeshivot. Yes,
that's for sure. And one of the most famous rabbinic names ever to come from Venice.
Yes. Ramchal. We have also other famous for other rabbis. Shmuel Abuaf, very important scholar who Rav wrote Shelot Utshuvot this time. Maharam Padua, Maharika. We have many. We hope to renew this tradition, but I know it's very difficult. But I think it's very important that the community, even if little community, have to be in Venice. This is the reason because I try to open the synagogue every day, every morning. Even if it's not minyan every day, but we try to organize a minyan during the year. During the winter is very difficult because Venice is the problem of Venice that the people who live in, for example, in San Marco, it's not so far, half of an hour by feet, but trains, it's very difficult to try to do the synagogue. So.
Well, I thank you very, very much. This has been quite an enlightening experience, to say the least. I thank you for encouraging us the last time we saw you in September to come and to participate in what we wanted to bring to Venice, a little bit of spirit and inspiration. And it is really remarkable to be here in a place with such a rich history, commemorating the 500 years of the ghetto. All of this together has been a very emotional experience for all of us. And we should note, by the way, that Venice is just one a city in this area that has some type of a Jewish presence. There are other little cities around that have rich history in Italy.
There are many synagogues also in Israel who use the synagogues of Veneto, not only of Venice and Veneto. The main synagogue of the Italian Jews in Jerusalem is near to Venice, Conegliano. So the Conegliano, Vittorio Veneto, so many communities, little communities. I think about 50 communities. Yes. So in Israel, are many Aronot Kodesh from Veneto. Yes.
Wow.
So before, yes. Ferrara is another place. Ferrara is in the south of Venice, but Italy was divided in many republics. In Veneto, d'Este, Mantova, Piacenza, Lombardo Veneto, Piemonte. Every community has another minhag. This is one of the wonderful difference between the minhag Sfaradi and minhag and Ashkenazi, because the most part of the Ashkenazi have the same minhag.
Right.
But if you go, for example, if you go to Rome, you have another minhag. Have many minhagim in the same place. In Ancona, for example, you have Italian, Ashkenazi, Sfaradi, and every little community has another minhag. And for example, here in Venice, the Venetian Jews want to preserve the Venetian minhag. So they don't want the other people pray during as Chazanim. Yes.
Well, that's one of the keys to continuity, right?
Yes,
is to make sure to preserve the minhagim and the nusach. Rabbi and Mrs. Bachbud, thank you very, very much. You've been amazing hosts for us here in Venice. We will continue with more on a JM in the AM Tuesday as our Jewish Unity Initiative brings Venice to the attention of the entire Jewish world. And when you visit Venice, you make sure to meet Rabbi and Mrs. Bachbud, leaders of this wonderful community. And you're listening to JM in the AM.
Say hello, say goodbye, תגיד שלום לכל אדם, גם בזמנים הכי קשים, בסוף כולנו בני אדם, גם בלילות ובימים, כשכולנו נפגשים. Say hello, say goodbye, לכל אדם שאתה מכיר. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום סלם על כולם. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום סלם שלום. תגיד שלום לכל אדם, גם בזמנים הכי קשים, בסוף כולנו בני אדם. גם בלילות ובימים, כשכולנו נפגשים, say hello, say goodbye לכל אדם שאתה מכיר. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום סלם על כולם. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום סלם שלום. שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום סלם על כולם. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום סלם שלום. כל העולם מופה את עיניו, אליה מביט ושואל, כולם רוצים אותה, את ארץ ישראל. היא לנו כאם, לעם החולם, שכל דברו במס וצדק נאמן אתה הוא שכל דברו במס וצדק נאמן אתה הוא שכל דברו במס וצדק נאמן אתה הוא כל העולמים צדיק בכל הדורות אוקיי לנמון האומר ואויסה המדבר ומקיים צו כל העולמים צדיק בכל הדורות אוקיי לנמון האומר ואויסה המדבר ומקיים שכל דברו במס וצדק נאמן אתה מס וצדק נאמן אתה הוא שכל דברו במס וצדק נאמן אתה הוא שכל דברו במס וצדק נאמן אתה הוא וצדק נאמן אתה הוא שכל דברו במס וצדק נאמן אתה הוא שכל דברו במס וצדק נאמן אתה הוא שכל דברו במס וצדק נאמן אתה הוא
It's America's one and only Jewish Moments in the Morning radio program, heard on listeners-sponsored WFMU East Orange, WMFU Mount Hope, Rockland County at 91.9 on the FM dial, broadcasting from Venice, around the world on the web at jmam.org, and of course on the NSN app. Make sure you have the NSN app in your phone, your Android or iPhone, so you're all prepared for our switch, our transition to an all-digital format coming up in just a few days. We're here in Venice, in the studio in Venice. Alon and Michal Merom are with us. We are guests in their studio this morning during our Jewish Unity Initiative. Shalom, and thank you very much for having us here.
Shalom.
Shalom.
A pleasure. Tell us about the gallery. What can you tell us about the gallery?
Well, the gallery is an exhibit place that is used for exhibitions by Michal and also by other artists. As a matter of fact, we are doing now a mailing to universities in the United States and in Europe to invite them to use the space for exhibitions. And it is, I think, one of the largest places in the ghetto. And it has been organized so that it can give some additional culture to the visitors that come to the ghetto.
Michal, at some point you felt it was appropriate to commemorate the 500th year of the Venetian ghetto, correct?
Naturally, we had in March were the 500 years of the Venetian ghetto, and we decided to make an exhibition that starts with the founding of the ghetto, which was in 1516, up to the Second World War. So it's the whole history, starting with the establishment of the Jews here by contract through the Venetians, through their lives, everyday life, the professions they could practice, the liberation of the ghetto by Napoleon, and we put in also some festivals and holidays so people can understand.
And we're going to see some of those works in a moment as we do a little tour of the gallery. How would you describe the style of art that you've used to depict these different scenes?
The style is the naive style. It's a style that is very good for didactic work. If you want to explain something, the naive style is a fantastic tool. And usually for all my historic work, I use the naive style.
Is there anything specifically Venetian or Italian about it, or it's universal?
Well, Venetian and Italian is what you can see on the canvases, the landscapes, the houses. The style is a style that is used in many countries.
Right. Okay, so we're going to start by heading toward the beginning of all of this, the 500 years of the Venetian ghetto. The different history and scenes of daily life. You wanted to say, Michal?
Yes, I wanted just to add another thing that many times people tell me that the scenes are very happy and in total contrast to what is the history of the ghetto. And that is my wife's doing, because she is always seeing the half cup full rather than the half cup empty. It's a very good attitude in life. And the way she shows life is really as if it is nice and dandy. But actually, the Jews didn't have it so easy here.
Right. It was not an easy era, but if you look, and we will in a moment, we'll look at some of the artistic work. It looks happy. It looks cheerful. The colors are bright. There is a certain happiness that jumps off the canvas as you look at her work. Okay, Alon and Michal, you're a fan of colors. Come, let's start with with one of the very first pieces. If we could proceed to the 500-year commemoration. Those of you who are familiar at this point in our audience with what we've been discussing for the last many months, or certainly for the last few weeks. This is in English, a translation of the declaration, the contract between the Venetian Jewish community and the leadership of Venice at the time, declaring that the Jews would in fact, during the nighttime, be locked in a ghetto. And as the time went on, hundreds of years, until Napoleon liberated the ghetto, thousands of people ended up living in that small area that we've gotten to know very well over the last few days. Alon, you want to tell us... looks like a view of the ghetto.
It is the view of the new ghetto, and it shows a chasana, a wedding. And Venice is very famous also for hosting many weddings. People come because it's a city of romance.
Right.
And yesterday we had a French wedding here going on. So the ghetto has its own peculiar way of living and of doing things. We are off the mainland of the main street of Venice, but we have still a large number of tourists that come to visit. I would presume that the majority is Jewish,
right,
and the rest are non-Jewish. They find interest in it, and they see that it is a place that it is somehow quieter and container than in other places in Venice.
Yeah, I'm sure of that. Also, some people don't always get a perspective about the size or lack thereof of the ghetto. I think that certainly helps put that in perspective. Some of the scenes here, this is daily life, I guess, in the ghetto, right?
Well, this shows the yellow sign that the Jews had to wear to be recognized as such.
Right, designated as Jews.
And it's something that actually originates from the Muslim world and then was imported into Venice. This is a show that shows the first contract between Venice and the Jewish community.
Right, the contract we just mentioned declaring the ghetto, that was the scene depicted by your wife. And this is a very important one, because you pointed out that we have to continue to reiterate that Venice was the printing capital of the world, or certainly of Europe at that time.
In that time, for sure it was.
Many Jews involved.
Correct. And actually, Jewish people were not allowed to own presses, but they had to work because they were the only one that knew Hebrew.
Right.
So they were allowed to work on the presses. The presses at the time, they were close to Rialto.
I wanted to point out that you specifically have named this one the ghetto's skyscrapers. And the reason they became skyscrapers in quotation marks is because the only place or the only way they could build would be up. There was no expansion in terms of the size of the ghetto expanding horizontally. It all had to expand vertically.
Correct. In the new ghetto, which is the first settlement of Jews, the synagogues have been built on existing buildings, and because of the structure, the bima could not be in the middle, couldn't support that, so it is placed on one side and Aaron on the other. And the Jews could not expand horizontally, so they could only go up.
Build up.
And also cut floors in two parts,
right.
So you have very low ceilings in many of the apartments in the ghetto.
As small as the living space was, as you went up, it became smaller and smaller. And again, more of the scenes of the ghetto.
Yes, different rabbis with different approaches to Judaism. Some wanted to go to synagogue on Shabbos using gondola, which
right.
was not really appropriate. In this scene here, we see the life of a very famous rabbi, Leone da Modena, Shagat Aryeh.
We've gotten to know that name a lot over the last few days.
He was a great essayist and a lousy gambler. And he was a jack of many trades. He just had some 27 professions in his life. Quite a dramatic figure. We published an Agada made by him. I think that it is over there.
Okay, we'll get there in a moment.
And it is. He made it at that time in 3 different languages: in Yiddish, in Ladino, and in Italian Hebrew. And it was published simultaneously. I think that was a huge accomplishment for the time and the techniques that they had for printing.
Well, I can only imagine. You pointed out to me this is significant because there were Jews who wanted to leave the religion to make life what they thought would be a little easier for them. But then what happened? What was the declaration from the ghetto?
Sometimes there were Jews that, as you said, wanted to convert to different spiritual religion. On the other hand, there were also some that, after doing that, made some kind of mockery out of it. So the city did not allow that, and they put this plaque out saying that Jews that had converted to Christianity were not allowed to come back to the ghetto.
Wow.
That is something that maybe could be acceptable. The second part, it's a little bit more problematic because it offers 100 ducat in an anonymous accusation, and the money is taken from the money of the accused. So from the legal point of view, I think that would be quite problematic today.
It certainly sounds that way. This is very significant. We've gotten to know 2 dates very well over the last few days. One is 1516, the establishment of the ghettos we discussed through the contract. The other is 1797. Tell me about this and 1797.
Well, this is the liberation of the ghetto during the time of Bonaparte. Bonaparte came as a general of the French army. And he gave emancipation to every minority wherever he found it. Later on, he became Napoleon. It's like Mr. Hyde and Dr. Jekyll.
Right, 2 different types of people.
2 different types of people. We in Venice like him.
Look what he did. He released the Jews.
The ghetto was closed for almost more than 250 years every night.
Right.
And my point of view is that I think the rabbis also liked that. I mean, as much as
difficult as it was, a preserved tradition.
Not to have Jewish people mingling around nighttime in the city. The mask also was born here in Venice because it was the only way that couples that were not supposed to be together could go around without being recognized.
Right.
So
they would dress up.
This is a beautiful show of the new ghetto, and it is 360 degrees. It starts on the Iron Bridge. it goes through one of the bank that was one of the pawn shops that were working. It goes on to the German synagogue. And here we would have to go this way. It goes on the French synagogue, which is the canton in the corner. Then we have the Italian synagogue, the little bridge that connects between the new ghetto and the old ghetto, the place where the soldiers are today, and they guard the ghetto. Nothing would happen to it. The Jewish retirement house, and then we have again the Iron Bridge.
If you could hand the microphone to Michal for a moment, a beautiful depiction of cultural life in the ghetto, all the different things that were going on a regular basis, some of the businesses that Jews were involved with as well. How long does it take you to put this to canvas, to take a scene like this and bring it to life?
About 2 or 3 months. There are many layers, and also you always have to think about the concept. It's
so if you multiply that by each one of these pieces, we're talking about a lot of dedicated time to this project.
Yeah, it took me about a year and a half.
Wow, pretty amazing. As we continue along here, we see some of the Jewish holidays that are depicted, and again, more of the different synagogues, right? The German synagogue, the Levantine synagogue, the Italian synagogue. You have all 5 up here, right? These are the 5 synagogues, correct?
Yes, these are the 5. No, this is not the 5 synagogues. This is the life of Rabbi Luzzatto.
This is Rabbi Luzzatto.
A very interesting story. These are the
5 synagogues over here.
Yes.
So this is Rabbi Chaim Luzzatto and his interesting life, and these are the 5 synagogues that you have, each one of them depicted on a separate canvas. In addition, we should point out that you have created 2 things that have been remarkably accepted around the world and have made quite a hit. One is an illuminated Jewish festival scroll. If Muzike, you have this shot, and you see all the different scenes of Jewish festivals.
12 Jewish festivals.
12 different ones. And then on the other side, as we walk around just for a moment, you have actually gone ahead and taken all 54, am I right, 54 parshiot of the Torah? 54 parshiot of the Torah, and you have gone ahead and created a specific artistic rendering, an example from each one of the parshiot.
Yeah, starts with Bereshit over here, and goes right to Vezot HaBracha, which you cannot see here.
This is where we are today, in Chayei Sarah.
That's
and this illustrated Torah scroll has been well received, as I say, around the world, and many people use it to dedicate to honorees and to others who they want to recognize as part of their organization and give a very special gift. It really looks incredible.
It's also a teaching tool. It's used in schools to teach Torah to children.
Well, congratulations, and thank you very much for this tour.
You're welcome.
We've had the pleasure of speaking to really an incredible couple, Alon and Michal Merom, who are here in Venice. When you visit Venice, you can come and see their gallery and check what they have to offer. Right now, of course, it is concentrating completely on the 500 years of the Venetian Jewish ghetto, and this has been a remarkable way to look at the last 500 years in a cheerful and very happy depiction. So congratulations, and again, thank you.
Thank you.
We continue with more here at JM in the AM. We're in the studio in Venice, where we've already had an amazing visit, and our amazing visit continues here at the studio with Giuseppe Balzano. Giuseppe is director of Beit Venezia, the home of Jewish culture. Shalom. Thank you very much for joining us. Nice to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Tell us about Venetian Jewish culture. Why does it need a specific home with its rich history?
In order to rediscover the Jewish culture for Venetian, for Jewish Venetian, for Venetian, and especially for tourists and for people who are coming here in Venice to visit, to discover Venice as an Italian city, okay? But specifically, we wish to discover the specificity of the Jewish culture here in Venice and to learn to people what it means to be Jewish and to live in Venice here and to rediscover all the specificity of Jewish culture in general, of course, and also here in Venice.
We've gotten a taste of culture here in Venice, firstly by visiting some of the synagogues,
yes,
and seeing the incredible, rich mosaic that was formed here by communities from different places who settled in Venice. We also were able to see the museum and some of the beautiful pieces of the rich Jewish history here in Venice. Is there a way to describe the culture of Venice? We understand it's somewhat of a melting pot. It also has this rich history of its own hundreds of years. Is there a way to describe it, how different it is from other places in the world?
Venice, for 300 years, and the Jewish community in Venice, Venice in those times was a little bit like New York today. So and you use the word melting pot, and exactly, Venice in those times was a melting pot. So a lot of commerce, a lot of commerce, a lot of traders, a lot of merchants coming from everywhere in the world, from
bringing their own culture here.
Exactly, and that the encounter, the meeting of all those cultures that make the specificity of Venice.
At what point did it take on its own character? At what point did it become what we know the way it is today, that it has its own uniqueness?
Again, it's like New York today.
It keeps evolving?
It keeps evolving, and people, which is their own culture, they are meeting and they're mixing, and that specific mix is creating the Venetian identity.
Is this any different than some of the other cities of Europe because of their own rich history and how old they are compared to New York and other places? Have this attraction for people to come and visit and see what it has to offer?
The problem, you mean in the past or today?
Yeah, both.
Both. So in the past, Venice was a very important city. Okay, today is different. Some people see Venice like some kind of Disneyland, but it's not like that. It's still, in my eyes, a very important city, able to give to people the idea what is a multicultural city, what is meeting the other, what is meeting different culture, and to act and react together in the same way, trying to make things better.
So we mentioned...
It was the case, I think, it's not the case in the past, of course, because in the past it was very different, but the idea is to maintain a cohesion of the society and to go ahead with peaceful and wanting to create a living together.
Right. Is there an appreciation, and you're from Beit Venezia, so you can speak on behalf of the way the Jewish community is viewed. Is there an appreciation in Italy for the Venetian Jewish community? Do they? Because we know, and we've discussed this for the last few days, there was not always the friendliest relationship. But is there a great appreciation for what the Jewish community has brought to Italy through Venice?
One of the problems, the Jewish community is a very small one, like the Italian community. 65 million Italian, globally speaking, 35,000 Jewish people in Italy, so very small. It's the context is very different from the one of France, for example. So trying to put together all the community, the dynamic is quite. It's not easy.
I can only imagine. All right, Beit Venezia is where? Where do people visit you?
We have an office, but most of all the time we meet people in the street, here in the gallery, or in the community office, or in the museum. So there is not one center. It's a net in the city. Just not trying only to have a meeting point, viewing point, but we believe more in relation than just a specific office.
Giuseppe, did the 500-year commemoration help the Jewish community here? Was it
yes? It's a very important vitrine for us to let know Beit Venezia to the public. It's a very important element. Just only 500 years. So we try to keep the occasion to be seen by people and by Venetian and international people.
Well, 500 years from now, I hope to have you on for the 1000th commemoration.
Yes, we are yet preparing the next one. Yes,
the blueprints are in the works. Giuseppe, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And shalom. It's nice to visit with people who are keeping the Venetian Jewish community not just alive, but thriving as well. You're listening to JM in the AM. Our Jewish Unity Initiative continues on our very special visit to Venice, Italy. It's 500 years since the start of the Venetian Jewish ghetto, and we are here 500 years later to talk about the rich history and the incredible present and the wonderful future. You're listening to JM in the AM. We are here in the heart of the Jewish ghetto in Venice. As our Jewish Unity Initiative continues, we are in an art gallery called Icona Venezia. And Dalia is with us. And first of all, welcome to the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tell us what exhibit we are looking at now in the gallery.
Now in the gallery there is an exhibition of photograph of Peggy Guggenheim. Peggy Guggenheim has had origin of Jewish, and now for the celebration of 500 years of ghetto,
Since the ghetto started, right?
Yeah, we would like to report it Peggy in ghetto and in ghetto of Venice. So for celebrated this, we can take this exhibition.
Right.
And we started with a photo of Mary, with an important photo. And Peggy Guggenheim had an important life. She lived in Paris, New York, where she was born, and she lived also in Venice, where she had a beautiful life with a different kind of art, and she had opened 2 art galleries, one in New York City and one in Venice, where it was her house. Before she had take her house only for house, and then she was taken for a house and museum, and finally.
And that was in Venice?
Yeah.
That was. Is there a photograph of that here at the exhibit?
Yeah, there is 2 photos of her museum house, and there is also 2 photos of the art of this century, the gallery in New York City.
In New York. So the Guggenheim family has a very close connection to Venice.
Yeah.
And you've used the opportunity of the 500 years to highlight this special connection that they had and that she had specifically.
Yeah.
So when people come, they'll see through photographs the story of her life or the story of her artistic contribution. What will they see?
Here, the tourists or everybody come here looks like a photo of Peggy,
right.
And with some artists she worked, and also there is some photo like her house in Venice and her gallery in New York City,
right.
And also there is also another picture of the Salomon Guggenheim Museum in New York City, the museum of her uncle.
Right, very well known. What's it like for you, Dalia, to be here in the middle of the Jewish ghetto? Such a historic place, such a significant place in Jewish history. What's it like for you being here? I assume you're here almost every day, right?
Yeah.
What's it like for you? Could you give us your feelings when you're walking in the ghetto square and sometimes thinking back about history?
Here in ghetto there is a lot of Jewish people, and it's beautiful to look some people different like Venetian. So for me it's beautiful like this place because it's different from the other place in Venice and the other place in Italy also.
Right.
So.
And you're also meeting a lot of people from around the world.
Yeah.
Who are constantly coming here. Well, it's a pleasure meeting you. Thank you very much, and continued good luck with the gallery.
Thank you.
500 years since the start of the Venetian ghetto, and in this case, the connection between the Guggenheim family and Venice is being exhibited in this beautiful gallery right in the center of the ghetto. This time each and every Monday through Thursday, Rabbi David Goldwasser, the Ilu Nishmas, Rav Zevin, Rabbi Yosef Alevi, and Esther Bas, Rabbi Yosef Alevi. Here is Rabbi David Goldwasser with Morning Chizuk.
What an auspicious occasion it is that Jews throughout the entire world have been brought together in unity in commemoration of the 500th year of the Venice Jewish Ghetto, all part of the Nachum Segal Jewish Unity Initiative. The Talmud in Brachos relates that when the great Rabbi Akiva would pray together with the congregation, he would abbreviate his prayers so as not to inconvenience others. But when he prayed by himself, one could leave him in one corner of the room and afterwards find him in another corner due to his many bows and prostrations. Our sages explain that when Rabbi Akiva prayed together with the congregation, the power of the tzibur, the community, was so compelling that it effectively raised his own personal prayers to heaven. However, when he did not join the congregation in prayer, He had to exert himself more in order for his prayers to be accepted. Even the great Rabbi Akiva, on his exalted level, was spiritually elevated by the presence of the minyan and the unity that it represents. Achdus is generated by a strong sense of Avas Yisrael, brotherly love, in feeling another's pain as our own. In the time of the great Hasidic master, Rav Menachem Mendel of Kotsk, there was one man that did not show up to the minyan. He didn't pray together with the congregation, but rather remained at home. And so one day, the great rabbi of Kotsk made a personal visit. The man, when he opened the door of his home and he saw the great rabbi of Kotsk standing there, the person was ready to faint. He never thought in a million years he's going to have the privilege of seeing the great rabbi of Kotsk at his own home. He immediately ushered the great rabbi into the living room, and they both sat down with the fireplace lit and aglow. The rabbi said nothing whatsoever. After a few minutes, he got up, he took a stick and moved one of the coals out from the fire, put it separately on the ground. They both watched. Eventually, the coal that was separated from all of the others went out and was cold. The great rabbi of Kotsk then got up, said goodbye, and went on his way. The unspoken sermon shouted volumes. All of us, we are united in our journey through this world, in our destiny. We share a common goal. May the commemoration of the 500th year of the Venice Jewish ghetto be a beacon of light to the entire world. This has been Rabbi David Goldwasser, bringing you Morning Chizuk. Have a nice day.
JM in the AM. Thank you very much, Rabbi Goldwasser. We are in the final half of our final broadcast from Venice. Those of you who've been following our Jewish Unity Initiative, those of you who've been excited for all these weeks about the trip to Venice that we've been speaking about, those of you who've just discovered that we've been in Venice over the last couple of days, all of you together have an opportunity to see and hear everything that we've been able to enjoy and learn from Venice by going to our website at NachumSegal.com and checking out the videos that are online. You have a video there of our Monday morning show. You'll have a video there of this show, the Tuesday morning broadcast, and of course the video that is the pièce de résistance, as they say in Italy, and that is the video of Saturday night, Motzei Shabbat, the Malava Malka that really inspired a community and brought a lot of music and great spirit to the Jewish ghetto here in Venice. Miriam L. Wallach is here. You're set, I assume, to open up with me the final 90 minutes of our visit to Venice during the Jewish Unity Initiative.
Good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning. Behind us, I am told by Mark Zamek, is a canal. That's what he says. He says there's a canal behind us with boats.
Water there.
With boats.
Water.
With boats and water and the delivery boats and ambu boats. And
we saw that before.
Yes, and every other type of boat you can imagine. They're all there in the canal because that's how it works here. That's how it works. You can probably see through our video right now the door of the Gimel Garden. The backyard of Gimel Garden is a canal. You don't want to walk too far past the gate of the Gimel Garden restaurant.
There are no guardrails, by the way.
There are no guardrails.
No guardrails.
And was it Barbara who told us when we were here in September?
Kids learn to walk and then they learn to swim.
Right, the kids learn to swim immediately because on a regular basis people are falling into the canal because of that. All right, let's talk about some of the things that we have learned about Venice that our listeners may not be familiar with yet, but we're about to educate them, and then we're going to meet one of the residents of Venice, Italy. One of the Jewish residents of Venice, Italy.
One of the imports.
I thought someone was going to say the Jewish resident of Venice. Okay, number one, have you ever tried to find an address in Venice?
Well, yes.
I know the answer to that question because I watched Miriam Wallach try to find an address in Venice.
And walk
it was
in
a
circles.
very, very frustrating ordeal, to say the least.
Google Maps does not work in Venice.
Houses in Venice are numbered according to districts and not streets. It's confusing. Even for the mailman, it's confusing. The easiest way is to find some type of monument, shop, or famous building and then take it from there.
Or scream loudly and ask for help.
And pray that Tali answers.
Exactly.
The gondolas, I don't know if you've been on one. I was on one on Friday, and we know that both Itzik Dadya and Daniela Javier were on one. Those of you who missed that video, you got to check it out. Yeah, many
Almost
thousands at this
4,000
point
people,
know.
Right? Yep.
One of the most recognizable symbols of Venice are gondolas, and all this information is, of course, in front of me, but this is stuff I already know because our gondola driver, what do you call a gondola driver, by the way? A gondolier? The gondolier educated us on Friday and told us that each gondola is made of 8 different types of wood. The left side is longer than the right side for some reason, and the parts of the gondolas are symbols of different parts of Venice, representing 6 city zones. Then the back part represents one of the islands, and the central part represents the famous Rialto Bridge. You take all those 8 together, and you have
a gondola.
A gondola.
That's pretty cool, actually.
It certainly is.
Are you going to talk about the flooding that we learned about, which I'm not sure is on your pieces of information, but one of the things that we were warned about or given a heads up about when we were doing our preliminary work for this Venice trip was that we should be concerned about flooding here in the ghetto.
Do you mean Acqua Alta? Is that what you mean?
Why, yes.
One should be concerned with Acqua Alta. It's a big problem for the Venetians. Tourists find it interesting and picturesque, sort of like the way school kids look at snow when the adults, of course, can't stand it. But they find it fascinating.
Right, but what is it?
And what it is the canals are actually overflowing due to the high tide, in combination sometimes with heavy rain. And those canals overflow, and alarms go off. Alarms go off in the district. In fact, they just commemorated the 50th year of the 1966 flood here in Venice, where someone told me that Italian flood, which was not only Venice, was different parts, claimed over 200 Sifrei Torah.
Really?
Yeah, could you imagine that?
No, but when you and I were warned about flooding, we thought that the rain was so heavy, and everyone looked at us like we were nuts, like, no, the water comes up from the canal. I said, oh.
Well, what happened was, as we were planning the Melava Malka, we were told that, it could be flood conditions, and we're sitting there going, wow, it rains that much? And then, of course, no, parenthetically, you idiots. It's the high tide because you're on a canal. All right.
Oh,
so that's one of the problems is water. There are how many canals in Venice, Miriam El Wallach? How many canals in the entire area of Venice?
I'm going to go with 176.
177.
Oh, I was so
It's amazing how awful you are at trivia. 177 canals.
It's amazing how bad I am when nobody preps me. There we go.
The S-shaped Grand Canal is the biggest canal in Venice and splits the city in 2. And the Grand Canal has on it over 170 buildings. For those of you who wonder how these buildings survive being built on canals, there are 170 just on the Grand Canal. Canals were main routes of communication in Venice because there was a time when there were no cell phones, no telephones.
I don't know, with the cell service here, it feels like we're in a time where
there was no communication hundreds of years ago. The only method was, of course, to travel the canal and get a message from one area
or scream for Tali
to the next. Yeah, that might have worked actually in those days.
Right, we scream pretty loudly.
How many palaces? Because anybody who's been around over the last couple of days during this visit has seen palaces. How many palaces are there in Venice? The answer is, you ready for this?
I'm going to stop cheating.
450 palaces.
I was going to guess 449.
Because at a time, here's my guess, based on what I've learned, at a time hundreds and hundreds of years ago, this was a status symbol to be in Venice. And many wealthy people were here and literally built palaces to have as either regular homes or summer homes and the like. And now there are over 450 palaces, some of them being used for a variety of reasons today. There are hotels that used to be palaces. There's a casino that used to be a palace. There are religious houses of worship that were palaces at one time. Oh, it's amazing how much I know about this stuff.
Jamie is very good.
How many have you noticed this? I noticed this last night. Did anyone notice the chimneys all over Venice?
Yes.
There are 7,000 chimneys in Venice built in over 10 different styles and shapes.
That is very cool.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It's a little bit, yeah.
And while we're doing this, and those of you who are listening now to JM, you're getting your fill of Venetian trivia.
You should know that the water is not safe for swimming. We do not see people deliberately swimming in the canal. That would be accidentally. Or drinking the water. That is correct.
I thought ZK put in a request to go swimming in the canal. We nixed that?
Well,
I guess for safety reasons we nixed that.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
Venice was not built directly on the surface of the islands. Buildings are supported by wooden platforms.
I did not know that.
Who would have guessed that? Now, wood is not exactly, it's not everlasting, and it's in the condition that that it's. Oh, is it?
See?
So Simon tells me. I've gone ahead with a supposition that's completely incorrect. I thought it would rot and would not be able to.
As long as it's in salt water.
But if it's in salt water,
it's not in your notes.
It's not. I'll blame Jamie for that at some point.
It's actually Yoni's fault.
And Venice is sinking. Venice is sinking every single year. I don't know if people like Barbara feel it. I don't know if you feel the ride, but it's about 1 to 2 millimeters a year that Venice is sinking at that rate.
That's rough.
Yeah, in fact, it's funny because the other night I was sitting here in Gimel Garden during the concert, and I said, "Boy,
I'm shorter.
It feels a little wobbly here." Oh, that may have been the music that was creating that effect.
Exactly.
Venice is in 6 districts with 118 islands. How many bridges? You know how many bridges we've walked over during our visits to Venice?
I
It's
don't know.
amazing.
I keep walking over the same 3.
416 bridges. You have only 413 to go.
Day's not over.
The lagoon is 15 meters deep, although I am told that these
what
canals...
What does that mean in terms of feet, though?
15 meters, about 40 feet. But I have been told that most of the canals are only 5 to 10 feet. Right? Does that make sense? About 5 to 10 feet of water in most of the smaller canals.
I was going to say, ZK, you'll be fine.
For those who are worried about ZK around the canals without the railings, he would be able to stand in most of the smaller canals. The sea and lagoon, I am told, according to my notes, is in fact safe for swimming. So you better check that out.
Oh, boy.
Population of Venice, which we were told at one time 50 years ago or so was 150,000, is now in the 60,000 range in terms of people who live here, most of them senior citizens. And the first woman in the world that graduated, I assume college it was, right? I think that's what we heard. Am I right? Was it a college? Right. The first college graduate in the entire world was born in Venice in 1646. First female college graduate, 1646.
That's very cool.
And the first public casino in the world, although I don't know who would go there, was opened in Venice in 1638. And the interesting fact about that casino
is that
that was the home of Wagner, correct? That casino was the home of Wagner, the composer.
And what else is interesting?
Or next door to the casino. I know it was right there along the thing.
Nobody's fact-checking you.
And he died in Venice. The German composer that has played such a role in our when we grow up and think of German culture and things that our predecessors may have wanted to avoid. And Wagner, of course, being played in Israel was always an issue when we were growing up. He actually died here in Venice. And finally, Miriam L. Wallach.
Yes, sir.
If you're in Venice and you wanted to feed a pigeon, would that be legal or illegal?
Illegal.
What? How'd you know about that?
Well, if you're a New Yorker, you're not feeding the pigeons in the first place.
And now we get Tali Eliani with us.
Tali.
Stay where you are there, Miriam L. Wallach. Tali, you're right here. Because I'm sure you have some fascinating questions about what it's like living here.
You do.
Tali, how long have you living in Venice?
Hi, Tali. Hi to all the listeners.
Thank you.
It's been 11 years, a very long time. A lifetime, actually.
Where were you before that?
In Israel.
And when you first heard about the possibility of moving to Venice and making this a permanent home,
it was my suggestion.
Was it your
Quite
suggestion?
sure.
Why? Because you just love travel by water? Is that your thing?
No. I just actually, to very, very briefly, I met my husband in Venice at a wedding. And when he asked me to marry him, I really didn't enjoy the idea of going to live where he came from. So I knew I had to come to Italy. So Venice has been the only other place I'd ever visited, so I just pulled it out of my hat and I said, well, Venice is nice.
Wow. Now, for
my husband said, okay.
There you go. So for listeners of ours who've been following all this and have already started to get a feel that this is a very different type of place, the water transportation, the fact that you are probably one of the capitals of the world when it comes to tourism. You probably see people from all over the place constantly, especially.
I think it's 11 million tourists a year.
Which is I've heard every figure you can imagine. I've heard from 10 to 24 million. People are just
insane.
It is
for
insane.
a population of 50 plus
Correct.
or 60,000.
Whatever the number is, it's just remarkable.
It's crazy.
But what about day-to-day life? You've been asked, I know, by people who are traveling with us about going to a supermarket, about getting things delivered, about trying to navigate what we normally call the ease of life and incorporate that into your own life. What can you tell us about day-to-day life here?
Okay, well, just to give a really simple example, but one I think that's very relevant to your listeners, is like Shabbos shopping, right?
Right.
So people probably go to the supermarket, load up their SUVs, right? Bring it home, park it in the garage, and then get all their kids to help them bring it all up, right? Something like that.
And then complain about how hard that process was.
Yeah, so it's a little different here. I don't know if any of the people who are with us have noticed, but when people go shopping, they shop very little. They shop every day. They have like one little bag of shopping, which is like crazy.
Well, there's a reason for that.
The average family in Italy is one child, So obviously very different than ours. We, Baruch Hashem, we have 3 children, so it's already kind of a different household. Just bringing drinks home is like quite a major accomplishment. Lots of bridges, granny carts, shuk carts. That's how we do it.
Plenty of walking.
Yeah, but we're healthy, we're good.
And the majority of the population do not own boats. A lot of people do, but not the majority of the population.
No. Boats are really a big, extra heavy thing to add on a day-to-day. I mean, if you leave your boat in the shop because it's being fixed and you leave it there for an extra day, they'll charge you rent for the day. So it's a bit much of an undertaking to have a boat. You really have to have time to take care of a boat. It doesn't make life more practical. It makes it less practical, if that makes any sense at all.
And yeah, it certainly does make sense. You mentioned 3 children. So raising children here, being a Jewish family, what could you tell us about that?
It's definitely very different. Look, this is a very, very tiny Jewish community. There is no Jewish school. There is a very small Jewish kindergarten, but it works very nicely. And there's a Sunday school for elementary age children. Our children also have teachers in Israel that they study with on video. So they're following certain programs. It's not simple, but actually there's something very nice about Venice. It's very, very simple. Everything's very simple. I don't have so much clutter going on. So it's very simple. We have school, we have home, we have meals together, we cook from scratch because there's not that much kosher available, so we eat very well, very healthy. It's kind of like... I don't know how to really explain it to people who live in New York, because I think what I'm saying is almost...
Right. Well, we brought you some of the New York clutter. Right? Didn't we bring some of that along with us?
Butter.
that we brought. Do you worry about your children getting older and being concerned about their advanced Jewish education?
I do worry. Of course it's a worry. It definitely is a worry. When my husband and I came here, we were young and we thought this was a great adventure. But we didn't think we would get as far as putting our kids in school. But here we are, and they are in fact in school. And I think that, yes, we have to do some long-term planning, but you also have to live on a day-to-day, and we take our kids very frequently to Israel. I have my family there, and yes, we worry and we try and we're working on it, but it's not simple.
Tali Eliani is here, resident of Venice. All right, a little bit of a self-serving question. It's rare, I would think, that this community enjoys a live Jewish music concert. It's a rarity, right?
Well, yeah. Such a modern
yeah, so
music.
With that in mind, what do you think of the spirit here on Saturday night?
Oh, I thought it was wonderful. It was very nice that we had a Bnei Akiva Shabbaton here at the same time. That really added a lot of simcha. But even the smaller kids of Venice, I think the viewers can see from the pictures, they were rocking it. They loved it.
It was really nice.
Yeah.
Your son, we noticed in synagogue, is actually spending a lot of time next to the Chazan. Does he have a specific role? Like, what is he...
So in Venice, they like to encourage the children, and also according to the Minhag Sfaradi, so children younger than Bar Mitzvah can say certain parts of the Tefillah. And so Izzy is working indeed on Kabbalat Shabbat. And so that's the background for that story. He's working on Kabbalat Shabbat. That's his aim for the year.
Is that the same son that's playing violin?
Yes.
Doing pretty well, huh?
Baruch Hashem.
And when you first told him that Daniel Ahaviel would be here, he had known who he was from watching him on videos, etc.
Yes, he watched him on YouTube.
Exciting.
He was very excited.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Special message, it's one of the messages that you gave us on Shabbat when you were with some of the men and women from New York who were in the square, was sort of to appreciate what you have if you're in a major Jewish community.
Absolutely.
And certainly in the United States, and it goes without saying in Israel, if you have an opportunity to live in communities like that, people should really put things in perspective and understand what we do have. Is that the message, basically?
Well, I think it's a very good message. Look, I think it's wonderful that people live in big, beautiful communities, and I think the community, certainly in America, really should be extremely proud of those. But at the same time, we would like to be remembered for being Jewish in places where it really isn't very easy. And so that, to me, yes, is a very, very important message.
Your husband Moshe said to us a couple of months ago that it's good we came here for this visit now, because he thinks that Jewish life in Venice is going to continue to dwindle and may not even be around 5 to 10 years from now. Do you get that kind of feeling, or do you think there'll always be a core of Jewish life in a city like this? Not sure, huh?
I don't think there's any way for any of us to tell the future. After the war, I think this community was about double the size that it is. I think the fact that this community is a very ancient community, and there's certainly very few communities around the world that can boast 500 years of history. But on the other hand, I also think that in a way, weighs down the community, and they don't feel as free to innovate or to modernize because of that great history and connection that they have to the past. And it's a pro and a con depending on what you do with it, and it'll remains to be seen what they'll decide to do with it, I'm afraid.
All right.
It's impossible to know. But we had lots of kids here on Motzei Shabbat, and
Yes,
all
certainly
those
did.
elementary age school children were all our children. So I don't know, there are probably about 30 elementary age school children here now. It changes all the time. Every time a family leaves, I think, oh, this is awful. And then all of a sudden, another one pops up. So I just say Baruch Hashem, and I try not to worry because I feel like Hashem is always, always watching out for us, really. This is a place where you're so broken down to the bare bones of everyday life that every single thing is appreciated in a way, and you feel Hashem every single day that I almost don't know what I will do when I move to a place that's so Jewish and so rich with Jewishness, because I think I'm going to miss that.
Wow, interesting. Any of your kids want to say hello to our audience? What do we have here?
Hi.
Yes or no? Yeah, why not? Especially for our video. Let people see the young Jewish life here in Venice.
She's very shy.
All right, so one thing I learned, the average grocery trip for Tali yields about 3-4 items.
For Moshe.
Average for Moshe yields 3-4 items. Average grocery trip for Miriam Wallach about
more than that.
More than 3-4 items. That's one of the things we
I didn't
learned.
say that we do it like that. I said the average Venetian
Right,
does
I
it
understand
like that. We do, bigger carts, but of course we have to break it down because there's only so much you can carry.
Right, I understand that. I'm just comparing it to people like us who could fill two carts in a grocery store and then schlep it home, in an instant. So it's a
Right.
different type of life.
Also, just the cost of living. The cost of living, cost of food, cost of transportation.
Right.
I mean, besides the fact that we've been translating everything into euro, which is a
Right.
totally different mindset.
Right.
Just the cost of everything
Yeah.
just makes it that much more cumbersome just to live life.
Absolutely. This is a city. I mean, of course, if you lived off Venice Island, like in Mestre, the cost of living is at least a third cheaper, which is crazy, but there's no shul in Mestre.
Right.
So what would you do? That's like a whole other existence that really... I mean, we're already on the bare bones. Really, I don't think we could do less than this.
Can I ask you one other philosophical question? Although you're
Sure.
here 11 years already, so I don't know if it strikes you as much as it would someone like myself who's only been here a short period of time as a visitor. But are you intrigued by the human ingenuity that it took to create the entire system of
the
transportation, communication,
Wow.
bridges, and just in general to build a city like this?
Well, coming from Israel, I'm not sure I find this ingenuity.
Good point.
This, as I understand it, is 400 islands connected by bridges. Some of the streets that you will see that have the word Rio
Right.
before them are actually canals that have sort of been filled in. You may have done this in your trivia before, I'm not
Right.
quite sure. They were canals, but they had been
What we know is landfill.
landed.
Right.
So, yes, I take my morning walks every morning.
So you do
and
think
it's-
of it sometimes.
It's pretty, well, even if it's not remarkable or ingenuous, it's very, very beautiful.
There you go. It's
Especially
pretty
in the
cool.
morning light. Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Let's hear it for Tali Eliani,
Thank
everybody.
you for having me.
Thank you so much. And thank you for all your help. Greatly appreciated. And I'm glad your family was able to enjoy the wonderful Malava Malka this past Saturday night. Speaking of Malava Malka, how about a selection from Itzik Dadya as we continue our Jewish Unity Initiative in Venice? This is the Nachum Segal Network.
ממעמקים קראתיך השם, השם שמע בקולי. ממעמקים קראתיך השם, השם שמע בקולי. מתוך ליבי קורא לך, השם שמע תפילתי, ומעומק נשמתי צמא אליך, אלוקיי, אלוקיי. בקולי ממעמקים קראתיך השם השם שמע בקולי מתוך ליבי קורא אליך השם שמע תפילתי ומעומק נשמתי צמא אליך
JM in the AM, that's Itzik Dadya, who we enjoyed tremendously this past Motzei Shabbat, right here at Gimel Garden, where we are in the center of the Jewish ghetto of Venice. Thank you to Itzik Dadya, David Fadida, and to Daniela Javiel, and to Yisrael Sosna, and everybody who was here in attendance. A lot of great people from the community came out to enjoy, to be inspired, and to really have something that is a rarity here in Venice, a rockin' Jewish music event. Shaul Bassi, who is originally from Venice.
Yes, correct.
Is here with us. He is a member of the Jewish community here, member of the Jewish community leadership. He is a member of the committee for the 500-year commemoration of the ghetto, which of course was established in 1516. And you also had a major role in an event that got international attention in regard to the reenactment of the Merchant of Venice. We will talk about that in just a few minutes. So you, as you just told me off the air, you're a member of the Venetian community from birth. The synagogue we were in, you have prayed in many times.
Yes.
And you grew up right here. What is it like to grow up and be a child in Venice?
Well, when you grow up, you take it for granted because that's your,
That's all you know.
All you know. It's our playground, and but I've seen it changing a lot, and so it took many years to realize how important this place was, not only for us but for Jews worldwide.
How far from here did you live when you grew up?
I don't know, 20 minutes.
20-minute walk
20
or
minutes,
so.
yes, because my family came in the ghetto in the late 18th century. So they chose to come to live here when it was already...
Right around the time of the liberation of the
Exactly. So chances are that they wanted to be in a nice Jewish neighborhood, but without the gates.
Right.
Yeah.
And the gates were open at that point.
The gates were open at the point, and then they came, and then...
So you have real roots here. We're talking about 200 years, 200 plus years.
I'm sure you know there are families that can, trace their origin back. But yeah,
so we don't meet all of those,
No, still.
Here we have a chance to meet somebody
right, yeah.
who represents over 200 years of Venetian
And I
Jewish
can also
community.
claim a Sephardic ancestor from the grandmother's side who was here in the 16th century. So I also have some claim to the...
That's pretty remarkable. Do you travel a lot, or you spend most of your time here?
I spend most of my time here, but I love to travel, and this year in particular.
So you know how unique this city is.
Totally,
it's not duplicated anywhere else around the world.
Well, actually, it's duplicated in many places. There are a lot of replicas of Venice in China, but this is the real thing.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
This is the real thing. Yes, this is unique.
This is the authentic one.
That's the authentic one.
At some point, and we discovered back in March, as we've told the story many times, that the community was going through this 500th anniversary, this 500th commemoration of the ghetto. At that time, we made contact with Barbara and started our own efforts to come here. Was this naturally an event that was not going to pass without a tremendous amount of attention from the Jewish community? Was this a concerted effort already for years to make sure to commemorate the number 500?
Not really. Not really. Actually, I think that the idea needs to be credited to an American visitor. I was a professor from California who was here as part of an educational program. It was back in 2008. And I remember clearly the moment where she raised her hand, during our brainstorming session, says, well, in a few years, it will be the 500 years. You should do something about it. So the idea is long in the making, but I to be quite honest, I don't think that everybody was truly enthusiastic.
Until it actually happened.
It actually happened. And but I think the important point is that eventually the community leadership appreciated that this was a unique opportunity to build for the future.
Right.
So the important thing is that it's about the future, it's not about the past.
I've seen a couple of documentaries on the ghetto. I saw one that specifically dealt with the memorial that was set up for World War II in memory of those from Venice who were taken to concentration camps and who never returned. And we've seen other historical elements be commemorated here. Is there and of course that memorial that hangs on the wall of the ghetto, one would say, is really the centerpiece of the entire story at this point in history of that era. Was there something that happened during the 500 over the last few months where you said to yourself, this really symbolizes what this commemoration is all about?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that the Shoah, what happened here as everywhere else in Europe, is of course the darkest page. But I would not like that to be the defining aspect of the ghetto.
Right.
And in fact, I object to the idea that the ghetto was, in a way, the conducive to to Auschwitz. In fact, the Jews were deported and rounded up and taken to Auschwitz at a time where the integration looked at its peak. And it's like, my grandparents felt that they were Italians like everybody else, except they were Jewish or Israelites, as they called themselves back then. So in a way, it's a kind of self-serving point because I was very involved in the in the project. But the Merchant of Venice, to me, was important, not because the Merchant of Venice is a Jewish thing. The Merchant of Venice is very much a non-Jewish thing, but because it recreated a sense of the ghetto as a place where Jews from all over the world gather, and they discuss and they debate and they do fun things together.
And it brought Venice again to the front and center.
Exactly.
Hold the thought for a moment. It's America's one and only Jewish Moments in the Morning radio program. Heard on listeners sponsored WFMU East Orange, WMFU Mount Hope, Rockland County at 91.9 on the FM dial. Around the world on the web, jmnam.org, of course on the NSN app. We're speaking with Shaul Bassi. We're here in Venice. Final hour of our visit for the Jewish Unity Initiative. On the heels of an amazing program this past Saturday night, Lava Malka, that brought wonderful spirit and inspiration to the Jewish community here. Shaul is a member of the Jewish community leadership. He's one of the coordinators on the committee of the 500 years. And now you mentioned the Merchant of Venice. I asked you about a highlight, and you bring that up. It happened when, the reenactment, and did it happen right here in the center of the ghetto?
It happened right here in the last week of July, and it ran for 5 days. It didn't rain, thanks God.
Big crowds?
Big crowd, yeah. It was full house every single night.
To reenact the Merchant of Venice.
Merchant of Venice staged in an English language international production, first time in history. So the first time that Shylock, the most famous Venetian Jew of all times, whether we like it or not, was, just having his own story staged right here. And it was very much an international effort. This is something which is very important. So it's something that we came up with the idea. We come up. It was a New York thing because it was a New York company.
Explain the role of Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg in all of this.
as a collateral event, but then became also an extraordinary event in its of its own. We also had a mock appeal. Famously in the play, Shylock is sentenced to convert to Christianity.
Right.
And
the play is fictional, just to remind our listeners.
This was the point. No, we said, Shylock's ghost has haunting this place for a long time,
right.
so we used the opportunity to show the difference between the real Jews of Venice and the fictional Jews of Venice. No 3,000 ducats, 3 ducats, and things like that. So in the play there is a trial and there's a verdict, and so the great idea that we come up with and we were recommended was that to have an appeal,
right?
And the appeal was presided over by no less than
a real
Ruth Ginsburg.
21st century appeal process.
A real 21st century appeal with 3 lawyers representing the characters and a panel of 5 judges, and the president was no less than the extraordinarily generous Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So that who had lunch right here
in Gimel Garden.
In Gimel Garden,
Amazing.
yes, one of the highlights.
I'd like to know what table. So now, how did it end up? How did the appeal go in the end?
Well, the appeal, unsurprisingly, was that Shylock didn't have to convert. Didn't have,
Was there a celebration in the ghetto?
No, there was no celebration. It was yes, and Portia, who just was instrumental in when the sentence was sentenced to going to law school because she pretended to be a lawyer when.
Interesting. Yes, that's one way of handling it. Shakespeare, when you grew up, was a bad name? It didn't matter. It was the Merchant of Venice. Was not,
actually, the Merchant of Venice was not a big thing, big deal. If you go to Verona, there's Romeo and Juliet pop up everywhere. Here it wasn't. Some people also were a bit nervous about including the Merchant of Venice in this commemoration. They say there's nothing to do with the Jews, and I said, well, there's no doubt that the Merchant of Venice has been used for anti-Semitic purposes in many places and many times, but it's also true that it has generated a lot of interest and sympathy even for the Jews.
No question about it.
So, we have to deal with him.
Right. And you'll never know where his presentation will pop up. There's always a role for Shylock in so many different venues that we've seen through different cultural areas. So.
We had 5 Shylocks in the production itself. It was an experimental production.
Each one had a different one.
Yeah. No.
Oh, what do you mean?
Every night, the character of Shylock was played by 5 different actors alternating in the scenes. So
in the scene itself.
In the scenes itself, yes.
All right. So 500 years. I'm assuming that now that it's the November, it's essentially coming to a close. All the commemorations, correct? At this point.
Well, if we're looking at the big events, yes, that's correct. But in many ways, the whole process is only happening now because the major project is the whole restoration of the synagogues, the renovation of the Jewish Museum. So this is a process that started this year but could not conceivably end by 2016. So we're looking at a few years where we really build for the future of the community. And the future of the community, I think, has been tested this year. And the main point is that the future of the community depends, as far as I'm concerned, on the interaction between those of us who live here and those like yourselves who visit. Right. And so this is a kind of mechanism that we hope we have activated and that should continue.
And one of the points that Barbara made to us on more than one occasion is that the government here, the government in Venice has been instrumental, has been helpful, has had a role in bringing this 500th commemoration to the world.
Well, within the economical constraints that they are at, because this is not. But it's very important that the city wanted to be a protagonist of this commemoration. The ghetto was not just something...
They wanted a part of it.
Yeah, it's not something just of or for the Jews. This is really part of the city heritage at large. So I think one major difference, between now and the times where I was growing up, that the ghetto was not perceived as something that really belonged to the city as a whole. Right now, there's no question that it's really felt as an fundamental component of Venice.
And I would guess that touring companies and those who suggest places of interest to tourists are much more including the ghetto in those plans when people come here.
Absolutely. And of course, there's a major role played by Jewish visitors who make a point of visiting the place. And it's important that they appreciate the many layers that are here. What we're really concerned about is that, of course, you come to the ghetto, you don't mistake this ghetto with other ghettos from Eastern Europe or ghettos that were only created during the war. And that you can also appreciate, we never want to depict the ghetto as a positive place in general. But there are so many things that happen here, the synagogues, the cross-cultural exchange, the intellectual debate, the learning. So those are things that need to be really celebrated.
Right. Jewish life in general, even in difficult times, has a habit of having real life and celebration to it.
The Jewish creativity, I think, the slogan that I think I've used most frequently is, we're not celebrating the ghetto, we're celebrating the amazing creative response that the Jews offered to the creation of the ghetto and its limitations.
Shaul Bassi, what a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for coming.
It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for welcoming us. Yet another perspective on the 500 years here at the Venetian ghetto as we broadcast our final hour of our Jewish Unity Initiative to Venice from the center of the Jewish ghetto. More coming up on this JM and the AM Tuesday. We've been featuring the music of Itzik Dadya because he has really brought a tremendous spirit to this area through the Malava Malka this past Saturday night. This is a duet that he has with Ohad. Itzik Dadya for you at JM in the AM. More coming up from Venice.
Kol sason v'kol simcha, kol chatan v'kol kala, kol mitzalot chatanim mechupatan, unariv mimishte neginatam. בלב אומר מלא תודה, נכנסים אל החופה, מלאכים אותנו מלווים ברגע הגדול של החיים. כל ששון וכל שמחה, כל חתן וכל כלה, כל מצלות חתנים מחופתם, ונרים ממשתה נגינתם. הלב פועם בחוזקה, מתקרבת הדקה, נישא תפילה אליך אלוקים, שלעולם נהיה מאושרים. כל ששון וכל שמחה, כל חתן וכל כלה, inshallah, la 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 la, inshallah, inshallah, la 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 la, inshallah, inshallah. חדווה, אהבה, אהבה, ושלום ורעות, גילה גילה, רינה, דיצה דיצה, חדווה, אהבה, אהבה, ושלום ורעות. כל ששון יש חתונה, שמח כל הלילה, וכולם רוקדים שרים ממחתם, ועוד שנה לבוא לברית בירושלים הפנויה, אינשאללה. איזה יום שמח לי היום, יום החתונה. כל ששון יש חתונה, שמח כל הלילה, וכולם רוקדים שרים ממחתם, ועוד שנה לבוא לברית בירושלים הפנויה, אינשאללה. איזה יום שמח לי היום, יום החתונה. לה 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 לה, אינשאללה, אינשאללה, לה 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 לה, אינשאללה, אינשאללה, לה 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 לה, אינשאללה, אינשאללה. גילה גילה, רינה, דיצה דיצה, חדווה, אהבה, אהבה, ושלום ורעות. גילה גילה, רינה, דיצה דיצה, חדווה, אהבה, אהבה, ושלום ורעות. כל ששון יש חתונה, שמח כל הלילה, וכולם רוקדים שרים ממחתם, ועוד שנה לבוא לברית בירושלים הפנויה, אינשאללה. איזה יום שמח לי היום, יום החתונה. כל ששון יש חתונה, שמח כל הלילה, וכולם רוקדים שרים ממחתם, ועוד שנה לבוא לברית בירושלים הפנויה, אינשאללה. איזה יום שמח לי היום, יום החתונה. כל ששון וכל שמחה, כל חתן וכל כלה, כל ששון וכל שמחה, כל חתן וכל כלה. אינשאללה, אינשאללה, לה 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 לה, אינשאללה, אינשאללה, לה 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 לה, אינשאללה, אינשאללה, לה 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 לה, לה 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 לה, אינשאללה, אינשאללה, לה 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 לה, אינשאללה, אינשאללה, לה 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 לה, אינשאללה, אינשאללה.
JM in the AM. That's Yaakov Shweki. Before that, it's Igdadia with Ohad. I want to thank Ohad, by the way. He was one of the people behind the scenes over the last couple of months that was instrumental in getting our music together for our Venice adventure. I want to take this opportunity to thank Gimel Garden. ZK is going to pan down to this incredible dish. It's just one example of the delicious kosher, kosher Venetian cuisine, which I probably should not have had before I started this segment. The delicious Venetian cuisine. This is just one example of that. We have brought along with us to Venice an amazing team, many of whom you know. Our producer for these shows, including our Bartanura show yesterday on, or I should say on Sunday rather, and our broadcasts from Venice, the one and only Mark Zamek. I want to thank Mark. I want to thank our staff at the Nachum Siegel Network, including Miriam L. Wallach and Jamie Turkel and Yoni Pollock. And a special thank you to ZK, who always is the one who gets the least amount of sleep on these trips, and knows that it's in fact very difficult to get any rest when it comes to these trips because of all the different things that have to be done behind the scenes. So thank you, ZK, our chief engineer. One of the members of our team that has been added recently in the last year or two and has really enhanced our experience in places like Venice because of his abilities and his unique capabilities is Mayor Kruder. Mayor Kruder is a photographer, an artist, somebody who has an eye for things that I think is beyond what the normal person sees or comprehends when they see something, and has been able to capture that in both photography and in artistry. Thank you for being here with us, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
It's obvious from those who have seen your work or will see your work based on this journey that you have a unique perspective when it comes to the photographic aspect of all of this. I ask you, in terms of being here in Venice and being part of this mission, what are your impressions of this community and this entire effort that we made to bring to Italy?
Well, first of all, aesthetically, totally overrated. No, I'm kidding. Venice is amazing. It's gorgeous, and to listen to some of your last guests who have an opportunity to spend so much time here, it's amazing that they live here and participate. And so, getting to know them through your Jewish Unity Initiative is a wonderful experience for me. I always like to meet people and just stop and just talk to random strangers. So for me to have an opportunity to do that here and to make them not strangers anymore, to make them a part of our greater community is very special.
I keep emphasizing how unique this place is. Like I say, you have an interesting perspective when it comes to visuals. Do you agree that there's a uniqueness here that's to be admired?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Last night when we were coming back from the vineyard, we had to take a water taxi in the middle of the night, and just standing out there going up and down different canals. Normally you're on a boat and you're kind of in the middle of the ocean, or maybe you're going down a river, but to go up and down so-called streets on a boat is just something very special, and I hope I was able to do it justice by capturing with my camera.
Well, I think the majority of our team agrees that you've done a lot of justice to the incredible visuals that we've seen, and you're going to be preserving these memories for us with what you've done. Is there anything artistically that you would want to pursue based on this journey? Is there anything that you either picked up or learned or noticed about Venice or the Jewish community's edifices, the architecture of the synagogues, etc., that you're going to be bringing back with you?
Of course. I think a lot has been made of the different shoals around here, the synagogues, and I'm inspired to paint them, but I think that that's been done already. So I'm looking to perhaps make a body of work myself as a painter, as an artist, with some of the historic Judaic objects that are in the museum. There is just when we went there Erev Shabbos, I was amazed by the amount of the amount and the quality of what they had. And I think I would like to do something that's a little bit contemporary, a contemporary twist on these traditional objects. So that's my plan, at least.
It's a great goal. You've really, like I say, you've enhanced these journeys for us, the ones that you've been on. We greatly appreciate it. And anybody who wants information about what you do, they can go to kruter.com, KRUTER.com. Enjoy your work. And I would love to be able to say to everybody out there that you're so far beyond the average wedding bar mitzvah photographer. But I think people need to see what you do in order to appreciate that. So if they go to the website, they'll be able to see some examples, right?
Some.
Some examples.
New website coming soon.
Oh, even better. Mayor Kruter, everybody. KRUTER.com. And he gets a nice round of applause from one of your close comrades on this trip, ZK. Could you imagine?
Yeah, he doesn't let me sleep either.
That's true. You're another person I should have pointed out is getting very little sleep. Thank you very much. More coming up as we'll visit with some of the key figures in our Jewish Unity Initiative who can start comparing some of the journeys we've been on, because they have been part of at least 4 that I can count, maybe even more, but at least 4 of our Jewish Unity initiatives. Eitan Katz is next. You are listening to JM in the AM, and we are live in Venice for our Jewish Unity Initiative in this very special journey.
Oise chadoshois Baal milchomois Zoyrei atzedok obois Matzmiach Yeshuois Oise chadoshois Baal milchomois Zoyrei atzedok obois Matzmiach Yeshuois Oise chadoshois Baal milchomois Zoyrei atzedok obois Matzmiach Yeshuois Oise chadoshois Baal milchomois Zoyrei atzedok obois Matzmiach Yeshuois Ze mirois yoy meiru Vesish bochois yashmiu Ze mirois yoy meiru Vesish bochois yashmiu Lemelech, lemelech, lemelech Kel chai v'kayom Lemelech, 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 lemelech Kel chai v'kayom Lemelech, lemelech, lemelech Kel chai v'kayom Lemelech, lemelech, lemelech Kel chai v'kayom Oise chadoshois Baal milchomois Zoyrei atzedok obois Matzmiach Yeshuois Oise chadoshois Baal milchomois Zoyrei atzedok obois Matzmiach Yeshuois Ze mirois yoy meiru Vesish bochois yashmiu Ze mirois yoy meiru Vesish bochois yashmiu Lemelech, lemelech, lemelech Kel chai v'kayom Lemelech, lemelech, lemelech Kel chai v'kayom Lemelech, lemelech, lemelech Kel chai v'kayom Lemelech, 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 lemelech Kel chai v'kayom Everybody sing! Lemelech, lemelech, lemelech Kel chai v'kayom Lemelech, lemelech, lemelech Kel chai v'kayom Lemelech, lemelech, lemelech Kel chai v'kayom Lemelech, 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 lemelech Kel chai v'kayom Lemelech, lemelech, lemelech Kel chai v'kayom Lemelech, 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 lemelech chai v'kayom
That's Ohad, who we've been thanking this morning as well, here at JM in the AM Tuesday broadcast. Two special guests, people who have been so instrumental in our Jewish Unity Initiative, two of the people who've gotten what our mission is all about. And they both, at one point, were from West Orange, New Jersey. Now one of them is from Jerusalem, Israel. How do you like that? And I, of course, refer to Mr. Simon Jacob, who's here in Venice with his wife, Barry, and Dr. Joe Rosazada, who's here in Venice with his wife, Lori. Welcome to both of you. A pleasure to speak to you here in Venice.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning, Nachum.
Good morning, good morning. Let's do this first. Let's talk about this trip, then we'll talk about the overall mission in a few minutes. We had some wonderful things that went on here. I'd love both of your impressions of what happened on Saturday night, and then we'll start talking about some of the things we saw between Sunday and Monday. Dr. Joe Rosazada, what do you think of what happened here on Saturday night?
Saturday night was really, really amazing. Just watching these kids, that was the highlight for me, at least. Actually, the kids and the older senior citizen people that were in the audience, the way they were dancing, they were just getting up and shaking and dancing, and the kids were jumping up and down. I don't think they've ever experienced something like that, because I thought it was like at first they were worried to do something, and then little by little through the night they really jumped up and down and going crazy, which was really amazing to see, from the little child to 80-90-year-old men and women.
Yeah, the show was really for people of all ages, wasn't it? It really was. Yeah. I would say from 9 to 90, and the truth is I think there were people younger than 9 and people older than 90 who were here enjoying it. Simon, you always have a unique perspective, because like we discussed when it came to the Paris show, you insisted on being with the people up in the balcony while all of us were downstairs. When it came to the show on Motzei Shabbat, you got to see it not only by being a member of the audience, you got to see it as somebody who videoed the entire proceedings for us. You're one of the people we're indebted to that folks can actually watch a beautiful video of what happened during the Melava Malka. What were your thoughts?
How hard ZK's job is. That's first of all, with all of these guys dancing back and forth. It was almost impossible to keep them in frame. But besides that, it was amazing being on the dance floor with everybody. And especially having all the members of the Venice community represented, and all of them together dancing was just amazing. It was an amazing evening. It honestly, when the rabbis got together and went hand in hand dancing with all the kids, I started to cry. It was very hard to focus. It was just really beautiful.
And it was our luck. Like I always say, God is the ultimate producer, so nothing's by coincidence. But the Bnei Akiva students, the youngsters, were from all over Italy. So we had a chance not just to unite Venice, we had a chance to really bring Jews together from all of Italy, a unique opportunity for us. And again, the one above, I'm sure, arranged all of that.
It truly was unbelievable to have them all here. They lit up with the music that was provided. I don't think David Fedida could have organized the music any better.
Could not have done more with what he had.
He could not have possibly done more. But he also knew exactly what to do with it. He knew exactly which performers would light them up, and they did. And everybody just responded.
Simon Jacob, Dr. Joe Rosazada, they're both here with us. Let's speak for a moment. It's no secret, and both of you know what it's like to instantly show your support and your enthusiasm for a project. It's no secret that what we now refer to as the first formal Jewish Unity Initiative was when we expressed the desire to go down to Houston after the floods, and Simon basically said, okay, let's make all the arrangements. In this case, it's no secret to either of you that we went to two different people and entities. The first, our American chairman, Mr. Leon Goldenberg, who we thank profusely, who has tremendous enthusiasm for Venice and just was over the moon to oversee our mission here, and we regret that he wasn't able to make the trip with us. And the second was the people at Bartanura. The people at Bartanura, and we have some of their bottles right here on the table, the people at Bartanura, when they heard we're coming to Italy and we had this mission to accomplish, they said, hey, whatever it is you need, let us know, because we're 100% behind it. So it's to get a reaction like that is wonderful. On Sunday, we actually took a trip to the Bartanura winery. And Joe and I, from a layman's perspective, get to speak about it. You, obviously, from an expert perspective, Simon, get to speak about it. So, Joe, first, what do you think of the long journey and the many hours that we spent both on the road and at the Bartanura winery?
besides the fact that we came to Italy, that was one of the highlights. Not because, we went to Barcelona, it was amazing to see, but the fact that Simon said, and this is very important, I want to make sure that everybody,
I
all
hope
the
Jay
listeners
Buxbaum is listening. Please, Jay Buxbaum, be listening.
Says, I will never, ever make fun or say anything else about Bartonura wine when you're having it on Shabbat. So I just want to make sure you know that. But really, honestly, it was really amazing to see the whole process. It's like
and an enclave of kashrut
for sure
in the middle of nowhere.
That was really. It's like and he said that there was mashgichim that really sleep like a house away because they need to make sure that at the time of fermentation, whatever it is, that they got to be there, which was really amazing to see how they're sealed and everything. It's like, and the guy is not Jewish, and he respected everybody so nicely. The whole thing was amazing for me to see how much respect he had for the mashgichim, and it was amazing to see.
No question about it. And Simon, you're somebody who enjoys and it always loves being introduced to brand new wines, especially on the fancy wine side, and yet you had an incredible appreciation for Bartonura.
I tend to like drier,
less sweet.
Yes, less sweet wines. But to be honest, I got a huge appreciation of Moscato d'Asti from the Bartonura people. The thing that was amazing to me there was that that they supported this so wholeheartedly. It's hard to imagine coming to Venice and doing a project and a program in Venice. The thing that's beautiful with it is that if you've ever been to Venice before, which I had not, you immediately realize how special this city is. And I know the Bartonura people know that, even though they're halfway across the country, and even though we drove halfway across the country to get there. They knew how special this would be to be in Venice, and that they supported it and that they helped, that the people from Kedem and Royal supported it and helped from the United States is just tremendous. So really that they reached out to this Jewish community and allowed us to come here and do this project and program, it's very special. There's two other really quick perspectives I had. One is a silly perspective. In America, we have satellite dishes on top of all of the buildings, on top of people's homes and what have you. In Venice, they have them as well, but they're orange and they match the orange color of the roofs. Why they don't do that in America, I don't know. Okay.
Okay.
So I just want to tell you, it's beautiful. You don't notice them because they blend into the roofs. So it's very cool. That's one perspective. The second is a perspective that Mayor Kruger brought up actually before, that when you walk around the churches and really see the level of Christianity here, and all of the icons and statues and what have you, and that the church really limited what the synagogues could use to build. They weren't allowed to build with marble within inside them because the church had an edict that only the church was allowed to do that. Jews were not permitted. It gives you a real perspective. These are things standing today. These are synagogues that are being used today by the Jews of Venice, and you can see the impact of that today. It brings back the history very vividly to you, and it's special to see. The museum here is an incredible museum. It needs as much support as it can get, and I'm happy we were here to highlight that and to help the museum in any way we can, but we also are pointing out that they could really use the help and support of the broader Jewish community. You'd think that they'd get a lot of support from people, but they really don't. So that's something that we wanted to highlight as well. But it's been a totally eye-opening, amazing trip from many perspectives.
All right, Simon, where does it fit in? No, stick with you for a second. Where does it fit in? Houston, Sderot, the streets of Yerushalayim and Tel Aviv had a very important time. Obviously, Paris, which probably got the most international attention. Where does this all rank with all of those? Very straightforward answer. It's something, again, I realized in the balconies in the shul in Paris. We're Americans, we were French people, we were Israelis, we were all singing in Hebrew. Bottom line is that we're all Jews. And couldn't have been more noticeable here. There are so many languages that came by us here, not just Italian, but there's so many tourists and so many people speaking all different languages, and they're all Jews, and we're all Jews. And the bottom line is that we really need to make sure that Jews know the message of Ahavat and Achdut Yisrael. And that's bottom line across all of those venues. Even in Belgium, even in London. No matter where we go.
We're all Jews. So Baruch Hashem.
And Dr.
Even in Iran.
Even in Iran is right. And Dr. Joe?
So let me start by really honestly, sitting on Shabbat morning in one of these synagogues, in one of the shuls, one of the ancient shuls, that I just closed my eyes for a second and said, how many centuries of Jews sat where I sat and davened from the same siddur, or maybe the same nusach that I did, and doing Birkat Kohanim in that shul that you have to open up with the master key to do Peticha and all the history that went into that shul was amazing. At one point Simon got an aliyah standing up, and you turned to me and you said, only if I had a camera to take a picture. That was unbelievable. By him standing right by the Torah, you're looking up, and it's
remarkable.
It really, really was remarkable to see that, and also the way they did Hagbah, all the different.
We have never seen Hagbah like that before.
I've never seen it. It's amazing to see, and the fact that little kids, and as Simon said, so many different languages. So many people came to me that were speaking Persian, and they would say, I walked to the pizza store and I see, oh, Joe, how do you know, who, whatever. But they just the achdut that's in here, and the way that you made the achdut here, I thought it was amazing. The Lubavitch, the Chabad, every single different type of Jew that walked in and saw what you were doing, they were amazed. And the Chazan this morning comes to me, he goes, tell Nachum that we got to come here every 2-3 months. That's what he said. The Chazan of the shul said, you have no idea what it meant for them to have this concept.
I guess we made an impression on him.
You definitely did.
I'm sorry.
Not only him, I think the whole community. I really
Baruch
did.
Hashem. Special thank you to Simon Jacob, Dr. Joe Rosazada, everybody. And we will wrap things up coming up at JM in the AM, and a special, of course, thank you to Barry Jacob and Lori Rosazada, who accompanied their husbands on this unique Jewish Unity initiative. Simcha Leiner is next. More coming up. Thank you both. More coming up at JM in the AM.
Omar Hashem, Riposim, Shalom, Shalom,
לרחק אין ליובו ללקרב אין לו לעשויס שלום בוי לו אין לו לעשויס שלום בוי לו אין ליובו לרחק אין ליובו ללקרב אין לו לעשויס שלום בוי לו אין לו לעשויס שלום בוי לו Shalom, shalom, l'rachoik v'l'karoim. Shalom, shalom, l'rachoik v'l'karoim. Shalom, shalom, l'rachoik v'l'karoim. Omar Hashem, u'riposim. Shalom, shalom, l'rachoik v'l'karoim. Shalom, shalom, l'rachoik v'l'karoim. Shalom, shalom, l'rachoik v'l'karoim. Omar Hashem, u'riposim. Ein Eliobo le'lerachek Ein Eliobo le'lekarev Elo la'sois shalom bo ilom Elo la'sois shalom bo ilom Shalom, shalom, l'rachoik v'l'karoim Shalom, shalom, l'rachoik v'l'karoim Shalom, shalom, l'rachoik v'l'karoim Omar Hashem, u'riposim. Shalom, shalom, l'rachoik v'l'karoim. Shalom, shalom, l'rachoik v'l'karoim. Shalom, shalom, l'rachoik v'l'karoim. Omar Hashem, u'riposim. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. Omar Hashem. Omar Hashem, u'riposim.
Am Yisrael chai, Am Yisrael chai. Oh, Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael chai, Am Yisrael chai. Am Yisrael. Ani mamin. Esai na'el ha'harim. Kol Yisrael arivim. Sheves achim gam yochad. Ani mamin. Esai na'el ha'harim. Kol Yisrael arivim. Sheves achim gam yochad. Chai. Am Yisrael chai. Am Yisrael chai. Am Yisrael chai. Am Yisrael. Esai na'el ha'harim. Sheves achim gam yochad. Ani mamin. Esai na'el ha'harim. Kol Yisrael arivim. Sheves achim gam yochad. Am Yisrael chai. Am Yisrael chai. Am Yisrael chai.
JM in the AM, ready to wrap things up from Venice. What a Jewish Unity initiative it's been. Mark Zamek, join me, please. Mary Mel Wallach, join me, please, as we close out another amazing Jewish Unity initiative, this time to Venice, Italy. Big thank you to our friends at Bartanura. A big thank you to our American chairman, Mr. Leon Goldenberg. A big thank you to the Kedem Wine Corporation and everybody who found this trip to be worthwhile. I think that between the Motzei Shabbos Melava Malka that we presented here for the community and everything that we've learned and the people that we've met and the chizuk that we've given to leaders and residents of Venice, this has been a very successful venture. Mark Zamek, your thoughts as we wrap things up from Venice?
So the first thought is, I don't know if Miriam agrees with this, but because we've been around for a few years doing these things, and I always feel a tinge of guilt when I get home to tell Rochelle what we had gone through, right? Especially, we have a good time, everyone, and so at least this trip there's zero guilt because we're able to have our spouses here. I know you feel the same, to be able to share it with everybody. This was such a great weekend to be able to do that. So thank you everybody for arranging that. Look, I don't think that you compare this to Paris. I think it was very, very different. But again, the theme of it holds up. And you come into a community, and I think it was true to some extent in Paris, and I think it's true to some extent here. Everybody has their little, they've been here, they have their little groups of people, but when we walk in the room, it all seems to melt away. And, we saw here at the concert, no matter what, the different communities or different groups, whether they're religious or not religious or whatever it is, that music, as Simon said, a number of other people said, sort of makes it all melt away, whether it's here in Paris or anywhere else. And I think it, it's a testament to the vision and the dream of what we're doing to be able to pull that off. It really is. It's hard to put into the words here now that we're not even officially over with it yet. But you have to let it sink in. But to some extent, the Paris thing still hasn't completely sunk in.
Oh, that's true. Well, I thanked our amazing team before. I thank you for all your help.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
During and after.
I appreciate the freedom that you give me to tell you what to do, and I appreciate you as often as I get away with taking you out of your comfort zone, and then giving you back your comfort zone to try to just bring it all to as much as we can to the listeners. And I think, and whether it's up or now or whatever it is, everybody really has to go back and watch the video of the concert and watch the video of yesterday's show and watch the video of today's show when you have the time, just to see Jewish Venice and just to see really Venice coming to life.
Mary Mel Wallach, final minute. What do you think?
So much has already been said, and I certainly do not want to repeat. But I guess what I'm feeling right now is a tremendous amount of pride. I am incredibly proud of the work that we do. I'm incredibly proud of the work that we do on a normal given Tuesday. But this is an unbelievably unique opportunity. There is no one else besides you on the planet who could spearhead something like this, that people could rally behind, that people could connect to the way that they do. That's true about any JM in the AM, but it is certainly true when we go on the road, whether it's to JEC or whether it's to Venice or whether it's to the Pinat Hama. And besides that, your team thanks you, your listeners thank you for bringing their Jewish world closer and for allowing them to interact with Jewish life in an intimate way that they would never be able to do. So it's a tremendous amount of pride, and I thank you for that opportunity.
And I thank you for helping me lead this effort, and we should continue to go from strength to strength. Acheinu b'Yisrael and Achim Achem, our brothers and sisters of Israel, we are with you. This is America's one and only Jewish Moments in the Morning radio program, heard on listeners-sponsored WFMU East Orange, WMFU Mount Hope, Rockland County at 91.9 on the FM dial, broadcasting from Venice, around the world on the web at jmam.org. And on the NSN app. And as you hear Hatikva in the background, a song that unites, a song that wrapped up our evening on Saturday night, a song that continues to be the theme of this radio presentation. I remind you that we are back in studio Wednesday morning, tomorrow at JM in the AM. Continue to listen all day long at jmam.org and, of course, on the NSN app. And comment away during all of our programming. And get ready for our big transition as we go all digital in just a few days. Make sure you have the NSN app and that all of your methods of tuning in, whether it be web radio or the website or special, not special, but your auxiliary cable or Bluetooth in your car is all set up so you're ready for our transition. From Venice, it's Nachum Siegel reminding you, remember the past, live the present, and trust the future.